Hey everybody, thanks for being here tonight. We really appreciate it. My name is Christian. I just have not much, just a few funny stories slash observations to share. I just got off a 9-hour shift at Cafe Rio. It was not too fun. Yeah, exactly. Ooh. By the end, I was like sitting there. I was supposed to be kind of making these silverware things where it's just like a napkin and like the fork and the knife, and I was just like, ooh. And like the manager was like, Christian, work harder. I was like, I didn't want to. You know, except I didn't. I was like, you know, that kind of. You gotta force it. You know, you gotta pay them bills. With the glorious $9 an hour paycheck. It's not awful, but you know, could be better. Cafe Rio's kind of funny though because. I mean, it's pretty good food, and like my coworkers are pretty fun, and I've also just noticed that it's the natural habitat for high school white girls. It's just where they are. Like now, this is at the Skyline location, so I don't know, maybe it's different for the other places, but at least at the Skyline location, there's just a lot of white girls that come in there, and they're like, can I have a burrito? And they hold the and salad, like they hold it for forever. I don't know what that's about. But like 9 out of 10 customers we get is like a high school age white girl, and she's always like, I'd like a burrito with no pickle. And you just gotta sit there and like treat it seriously and be like, oh, okay, miss, that's great. And we have like these sayings on the wall, right? It's like, like free meal, like, oh, it's so good, tasty Cafe Rio, yay. I think they should redo those so that they like actually match our clients, so it's like burrito, salad. Yeah, that's my job. Before I worked there, I was doing this internship thing briefly on Capitol Hill, and it was okay. It was just kind of funny because everyone jokes about like how Mormon Utah is and how the state legislature is just a bunch of Mormons. And I mean, maybe that's true, but there is one big similarity I noticed, and that is when I used to go to the LDS church, everyone was usually sleeping through the services. And when you're at the state capitol, everyone is also sleeping through the proceedings. You've got like all the people that are in power, all the elected representatives are like, they'll like occasionally go into educated elected representative mode for like 2 seconds to interrupt their nap. But yeah, I don't know. I'm working and stuff, and I'm not currently in school because I didn't know what. I would just switch my major as like a pastime. Like we'd be bored sitting around, and I'd be like, let's change our future plans and what we want to pursue. And everyone else is like, no, I figured that out. I was like, oh, okay. Well, I'm going to change mine to be an artistic marine biologist. And it's just like, no, like you can't do that. And so decided I'd take some time off. But I realized that the whole picking a major thing, it's sort of like an arranged marriage, Like you don't know anything. And you're just supposed to be like, oh, okay, I'll go with this, I guess. And the economy is like the rich dad, and you're like the rich daughter being married off, and like you might be ugly, and so you have to have a really, really, really good dowry, and that's your major, right? So it's like, the economy will have his son, Money, marry you if your dowry is like an engineering degree or something. But, not if it's, English or, I don't know. Yeah, college was a funny place. There's these like social justice advocate lawyers going around making their, getting really lit up about their causes, and some of you already know where I'm going with this. One of the recent things they were getting up in arms about was bathrooms, actually, and like the fact that we have male and female and that's it, bathrooms. And I get that maybe we should have another bathroom that's for people who are, less, a little more gender ambiguous. Is that the right word? I'm sure I don't know. I'm sure I'm pissing someone off, but I just then it turned out that the discussion wasn't, oh no, we shouldn't change the bathrooms to have like another sort of category. We should just have no categories. It should just be the bathroom, and like everyone can go there. And it's like, okay, so we have some people that are treated kind of shitty because they're like gay or something, and that's terrible. I disagree with that, but let's make it so that all the creepy guys can go into the same bathroom as all the girls. Like I don't think that strikes me as like the best solution to gender issues. For some reason, that just doesn't seem quite right. Yeah. Anyway, oh yeah, a couple funny stories and I'll be done. I went on a date last night and this girl asked me a question. She was like, "So what's like your most embarrassing story?" And it was like we had kind of had this awkward silence for a second, and then she asked me that, and I was like, "Of all the questions, okay." And so I was like, "All right, well, I guess I'll try and answer for you." And I thought for a second. And then all of a sudden, this like horrible memory that I had repressed came like bubbling up to the surface. So I'll tell you that story now. I was in 8th grade, which is a great start to any embarrassing story. I was in 8th grade. I was like this chubby little Christian, just like waddling around the halls, like trying to make my way through life. And I went to this party. I want to say it was for like a bar mitzvah or something. And it was like the first party I'd ever been to. Now, of course, like there wasn't alcohol or anything, but it was like your typical party scene aside from no alcohol. There was like a dance floor, like a place here where you could get your punch, your cute little 13, 14-year-old punch, and so I was like too young to realize that I was really bad at dancing, so I didn't have that like insecurity. That was kind of fun. And so I went over to the dance floor. I was like, all right, this is kind of fun. I started just like awkwardly bobbing up and down, like that's kind of what I thought dancing was. And and then this girl who I liked came up and she started grinding on me. And I was like, whoa, this is cool. Wow. I don't even know what I did to deserve this, but I was like conflicted at the time too, because at the time I was still Mormon, and I was like, is this bad? I don't really know. Should I pause? Nah. And then, how do I say this? The appropriate physiological response occurred, and which is like kind of to be expected. But I was in 8th grade, and I was like, oh. That only happens when I'm alone normally. And so then all of a sudden the girl just stops and she turns around, she's like, is that a boner? And walks away. And that was it. Oh. So that was my embarrassing story that I shared. On a first date, like 15 minutes in. Oh well. Oh yeah. So I volunteer at the homeless shelter down at Pioneer Park, and for those of you who aren't familiar with it, it's kind of this area of the city that's like it's pretty dirty, and people like hyperbolize just how bad it is in their head. Like they think that you go down there and it's like an Indiana Jones temple with like the darts shooting at you, but the darts are like used heroin needles. And you're like, it's really, but it's not that bad. It's honestly not that bad, and. I've met a lot of actually pretty cool people volunteering there, but I did have this really funny experience last week. I was there, and there was like some sermon, and then the guy was like, and praise the Lord, and then all of a sudden this guy, all of a sudden just really loudly says, I ain't praising shit. So they kicked him out. There's nothing else to that story. What else do I have here? Oh yeah, I'll just tell one more. So I, last year when I was still in school, a friend of mine and I got this great idea that at the building we lived in, we were going to play chess in the elevator with horse masks on, and from the neck down, nothing other than like boxers and a bathrobe. And so it's like 8 a.m. People are like, making it out of bed. They're going to the elevator, and all of a sudden like ding. And there we are, like two zebra men, horsemen, playing chess. And so we got some pretty funny reactions, and for the most part, people were just kind of like, you guys are silly, and like got on the elevator and pushed the button and didn't pay any attention to us. But but then there was this one girl who got on, and she was like, she comes in a huff, she looks at us, she was just like, And then turned around and like pushed a button. And then she looked back at us with like this really, like this stink eye, you know? And then she's like looked forward again. And then she looked back at us and then she was just like, I don't have time for this shit. And like pushed over the chessboard onto me and ruined our game, which I was winning. And then got off on her like fifth floor or whatever. Yeah. Well, that's all I have prepared tonight. Thanks, you guys.